So what if I told you we could be in for a very big boom in the spring of 2021? Would you believe me? Well, I'm going to give you some thoughts of where I see the real estate market going for the next couple of months here, going into this cooler period in the Canadian real estate market. And I want to answer some of your questions from the comments. You guys gave me some great questions. You've had some really interesting things you wanted to know about. So I wanted to get those answered for you. And I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek on what's coming up for the future of Bald Prairie Real Estate. Let's get into this. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bald Prairie Real Estate. If you're new here, my name is Matthew Fife. I'm a real estate agent in Regina, Saskatchewan, and I like educating you about Canadian real estate, whether it's market updates or education videos for buyers and sellers. What this video is going to be is obviously a lot more informal. We're going to have I guess we'll call it a fireside chat conversation with you guys. I want to chat with you about what I see going into this winter in the 2020 Canadian real estate market, plus what we might see in the spring of 2021 in the Canadian housing market. So quick little chat about that. We're going to talk about what I've got for some upcoming videos on Bald Prairie Real Estate, and I want to answer some of these awesome questions you guys have given me in the last month or so. So we're going to go through those and get those answered for you. But we're going to start this off with another one of my patent terrible jokes. This one comes from Jason. He says, "What kind of house weighs the least?" A lighthouse. I love user jokes like that. So if you've got a good joke, put that one in the comments below and let me know what you think of this more of an informal conversational style video. If you like it, let me know in the comments below and I'll keep doing these types of videos. So let's start things off talking about the Canadian real estate market. These are just some factors that I see playing into the 2021 Canadian real estate market, as well as what is going to happen here for the next, say, 60 to 90 days as we head into this winter market in Canada. Now, if you want a very detailed breakdown what's going on in the Canadian real estate market, right here is my most recent Canadian real estate market update with very detailed stats on all the different cities in Canada. So go check that out if you want a very detailed breakdown. This is just kind of a general overview. As we head into the winter, real estate markets in Canada typically cool down. You see less listings come on the market and fewer sales. I expect that trend to continue this year. Now we are going to see though higher sales numbers. I expect we're seeing it in my market. We're well above our 5-year average for sales. We're seeing that kind of hangover push that we had through the summer market that was very strong. That's still continuing. So expect sales to be higher than the year before, but you will see them come down. Generally in the winter, if there's going to be prices decline, that's when we tend to see prices soften a little bit, but that doesn't always happen. And this is 2020. Who the heck knows what's going to happen through the winter this year? But that's generally when the market softens a little bit, is the winter. I want to talk a little bit about some factors I see playing a major role in 2021. I think these could result in the market being pushed up and being a very hot 2021 market. Of course, there is always the risks of continued economic slowdown, slow recoveries, further restrictions and lockdowns will obviously slow down the real estate market, but the doors will open back up again and we will see people returning to market. And if it's anything like we saw in 2020, buyers came back with an absolute vengeance and they came back much sooner to the market than sellers did. And that resulted in even more constrained supply and it pushed prices up even higher. So there's a couple of factors here. Let's talk about Vancouver and Toronto, two of Canada's largest real estate markets. If you take the last 20 years, they've averaged about 50,000 new starts in those two cities combined per year. In the same time frame though, 70,000 new jobs were created on average per year, net new jobs. So that is 70,000 people that came there for a job and were unable to, or 20,000 of them were unable to purchase a home because there just wasn't a home built for those. So that's 400,000 people in the last 20 years in those two centers that had a job that were unable to purchase a home because it didn't exist. And that has resulted in that supply constraint problem that we've seen really across Canada, but very much so Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Ottawa, big centers like that are all seeing very constrained supply. Demand, if it goes up, will make that problem even worse. Now, immigration is a huge part of the Canadian real estate market. especially Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, because that's where 50% of all new Canadians end up, is one of those three centers. Now, we're going to miss the targets this year by a mile. I think it's well over 100,000 fewer new Canadians will come to Canada this year than was anticipated. But the government is changing their targets for the next 3 years. Now, the record was 2019 at 310,000 new Canadians. They're projecting over 400,000 new Canadians in the next 3 years. That will increase the demand. It'll start on the rental side of things because new Canadians for the first couple of years generally rent before they purchase. So this dip in the rental market that we see right now, that is going to push that back up again as these people come to Canada. And then when they start turning to purchasing homes and we already have a supply problem, that is going to even make that a bigger problem. Supply continues to be a problem in Canada. That's one of the biggest drivers for price increases in Canada, is the lack of supply. There just isn't enough homes to be purchased for the amount of people that want to buy homes. Now, let's talk about finances. That's obviously very important. If you don't have money, you don't have a job, it's pretty tough to buy a house. What we've seen through 2020 is Canadian debt loads have gone down, savings have gone up. A lot of that's been supported through government programs and things like that, but that's just what's happened. CIBC has it as $170 billion in Canadian bank accounts right now. And when the doors open up here, and they will at some point in 2021, you're gonna see that $170 billion get deployed. People are going to go out and buy things at stores. They're gonna buy houses. Interest rates don't appear like they are going anywhere. Bank of Canada has been very committed to keeping interest rates low. So if we see this, the doors open up and the interest rates are low and you have limited supply and increased demand, that will push prices up if that happens. So that's kind of some things I see playing major factors in the 2021 Canadian real estate market. I am going to do a full forecast video for 2021. I don't really like making forecasts and predictions. What I am gonna do though is I'm going to recap the banks, the economists, the real estate companies. I'm gonna put that all into one video and kind of give you my thoughts on that. So look for that in probably about the second week of January. I'm also going to do a 2020 recap video. We're gonna talk about the crazy year in the Canadian real estate market that was 2020. So look for those two videos coming up very shortly on Bald Prairie Real Estate. So first question here, and I like this one. Do you have to have a permanent position for 2 full years before you can qualify for mortgage to buy a house in Canada? The answer to that is no. You do not have to have a permanent position for 2 full years. Normally you have to have 2 years average income. That's how you qualify. That's not the case if you have a contract position which has guaranteed income or guaranteed hours. If you have a permanent full-time position like that, you can qualify based on that contract. So you don't have to have 2 years income if you have a permanent position like that. Next question. Is it mandatory to have a home inspection? Now this was geared a little bit more to the new construction side of things, but I'm gonna talk in general. No, you do not have to have, it's not mandatory to have a home inspection when you're buying a house in Canada. I strongly recommend that you do that, but it's not a requirement. Anything for, there may be some weird requirement for financing, but I have yet to see it. So no, you can use that as a rule. Basically, you don't have to have a home inspection to buy a house in Canada. Another one here, can I buy a house on one salary? Yes, you can. Obviously, you need to meet the income requirements, your debt service ratios, all that have to line up. And yes, in a number of Canadian cities, one salary is not going to be enough to purchase a house. That's just the reality of things. But it's not a requirement. If you have enough income from that one salary to buy a home, yes, you can do so as long as you meet all the qualification requirements. Here's a one that I really liked, actually. It's probably my favorite question. Can you use the CMHC first-time homebuyer incentive program to increase your down payment above that 20% threshold? So for those that don't know, if you have less than 20% down, you have to have mortgage default insurance, otherwise known as CMHC fees, when you're buying a house in Canada. So the government of Canada in 2019 unveiled the first-time homebuyer incentive program. If you want a more detailed breakdown, right here, I've got that broken down where it makes sense to use this program or not. Basically what it does is if you are buying a resale house, the government of Canada will give you a 5% down payment grant. So you'll go from 5% down to 10%, for example. If you're buying a new construction property, they'll give you 10% down. Now, that does not mean you can say if you have 15% down and you're buying a new construction property, you can go from 15 to 25% down and avoid CMHC fees. No, you cannot do it. You have to have a CMHC insured mortgage on this. So the most you're allowed to do is a 19.99% down payment if you're taking advantage of the Canadian or CMHC first-time homebuyer incentive program. So hope that answers that question for you. Now, this one's gonna be a little more of a fun one. Obviously, this is Bald Prairie Real Estate because I don't have any hair. I have what's called alopecia. It's an autoimmune disorder, and I haven't had hair since 2008. Maybe I'll put up a photo right here of what I looked like back in the day. But a lot of you have put some pretty funny comments about my hair. This was one just came out about a week ago and it says, "You remind me of Mini-Me from Austin Powers." Yeah, I see the resemblance on that one, although I think he dressed a little bit better than I do. Thank you very much for that one. I love having fun with that, and I really appreciate all these great questions and comments, guys. Let me know if you like this style, more informal chat. We'll do these videos some more. If you want more information as a first-time homebuyer, right here, my first-time homebuyer playlist. If you just want an update on the Canadian real estate market, right here is the most detailed breakdown of the Canadian real estate market you're gonna find. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching.